And today, to start off this class, I'm going to give you a lecture based on my own personal experience and my own personal feelings. I have spent some quiet time recently thinking about a previous relationship. As you know, I live alone, and I've been living alone for some time now. But I have a previous relationship, a specific one in my mind. It's a litigious society, so I'm not going to say who it was or when it was. Let's just say it's from the past. And in this lecture today, boys, I want to talk about money. Women want your money. I always say there are exceptions to every rule. That should be obvious, but nonetheless, there are a few morons out there who say, why do you say all women want money? All women don't want money. I don't want money. I never said all women want money. Well, you said all women want money. I don't want money, and none of my friends want money either. It's the same call I get all the time. Shut up. Shut up. Sure, there are exceptions, and if you are an exception, you probably have friends who are like you. Let me save us the phone call right now, girls. Generally speaking, women want your money, men. And you can't see it because you want poon. They know you want poon, and so they get themselves into position to get your money. And because you are temporarily insane while you're trying to get a woman's panties off, many of you will start spending money. Now, some of you, maybe, like your professor, don't spend a lot in the beginning, but maybe once you're in a relationship, you're not as careful. And perhaps you buy your live-in girlfriend or your wife a car, or you buy a big house for her to live in with you. Perhaps you take her on an expensive vacation. And many women equate love with your ability to support them. In other words, women love to feel secure. One thing that makes women feel secure is your money. So you'd be amazed how much women love you if you have money. And by the way, what is a lot of money? Well, to each person, it's a different amount of money. If a woman makes $22,000 a year and she meets a man who makes $32,000 a year, she thinks she's hit the jackpot. So you don't have to have a lot of money to be in this position. But what it gets right down to is that women think their company is worth more than ours. They think their sexual availability has monetary value that ours doesn't. Or at least they try to con us into believing that's the case. And they believe that once they have the keys to our place, once they are officially the girlfriend or the wife or whatever, the live-in, that it is your job to shovel money in their direction. And in many cases, their love is directly correlated to how well you are able to support the enterprise. Whether it be a relationship, whether it be a live-in relationship, whether it be a marriage, whether it be a marriage with kids, whether it be a live-in relationship with kids. It's amazing how much a woman's love has to do with how well you support the family. It's amazing how many women stop loving you if you are unable to work or depressed or, in some cases, unwilling to work for a period of time. Amazing how many of these women who, quote-unquote, love you suddenly stop loving you. Now, boys, I've been married and divorced 4 times, and I've had other relationships as well. So I'm going to tell you that when you fall in love, you can't see this. Let me tell you what the other end is like when you get out. When you get out, women want money to leave. They not only want money to move in, they not only want money to have sex with you, they not only want money to spend time with you. They not only want money so they can look at you with puppy dog eyes and pretend to be interested in what you have to say. When you want them to go, they want money for that too. So when you tell a woman to leave, she wants money. She wants you to help her move. She wants you to pay for her furniture. She wants you to pay for her furnishings. She wants you to pay for her security deposit, first and last month's rent. She'd like you to pay her rent for a year or two if you can get her to do it. She'd like a lump sum too. And if she can't get you to voluntarily give it and she got you to marry her, she will ultimately get an attorney and find a way to get the money out of you. And even if she doesn't hire an attorney to get the money out of you, suddenly you'll find out how much she doesn't love you once she tells you how much money you owe her. Because what it comes down to is how much money you can provide to the enterprise. I mean, imagine. Are there women out there, are there needles in a haystack out there who, when a relationship is over, they say, I don't want anything, I'm just getting out of here? Yes, there are exceptions to the rule like that. But generally speaking, women want money to have sex with you. They want money to become your girlfriend. They want money to move in with you. When they move in with you, they want you to pay the rent, you to pay for the groceries, you to pay for the clothing. They want you to buy them a car. They want you to put them through school or pay their debts off. They want you to pay for the wedding. They want you to pay for their kids, provide them sperm, provide them cashola. And then when you want them to leave, they want you to pay them to leave. That's the way this works. And the reason I have been having this on my mind is because I was thinking back on a previous relationship with someone who was funny and lit up my life just to see her come into the room. She was fun, she was funny, she was energetic, she was wonderful. And it wasn't until she left and told me how much money she thought she ought to get that I realized there was no love going on there at all. It was just somebody who wanted money. And her love was directly proportional to how much money I would provide. Amazingly, after she was gone, the number of phone calls deteriorated, the number of encounters in person deteriorated. And most of the phone calls centered around money. How much she had, how much she needed, how much I ought to send over there. It was all about the money. And you know, when you spend time with somebody and you think you love them and they think, or they let you think that they love you, you find out how much they don't love you later on when it's over, and then they tell you how much money you owe them for the experience. I was once with somebody who I told, hey, you know what? I don't think this relationship's working out. We've got different values. It isn't happening. I'd like out. And all of a sudden it turned from love to, here's how much money I want. Now, I'm not going to say I sent the money or that I gave the money or that no, that's not what I'm saying. Don't assume that I just mailed a couple of $100,000 over there. I didn't. But it can be quite an empty feeling when you find out how somebody just wanted money. Oh, yes, they loved you while they were there. And oh, yes, they acted like they loved you. Oh, yes, they took lots of photographs of the two of you together and everything. And it looked like you had all this fun. But the reality is, underlying it all, they want money. When you meet a woman, you must remember that no matter how friendly she seems, no matter how funny she is, no matter how good she makes you feel, physically, emotionally, mentally, whatever, somewhere in there she thinks that she's being hired for an occupation. This is an employment position. And in exchange for providing you with her time and her good cheer, she wants money. You owe her money for that. That is the attitude of many women. And that's why sometimes when I look back on relationships of the past, and I try to think about the good times I had with particular people, it's difficult. Because after the relationship was over, you find out just how much of it was about money. How much they want, how much you should give them, how much they're entitled to, how much their time is worth. Women have talked about, I gave you the best years of my life. Yeah. Like they got nothing out of it during the time you were together. Like essentially you were renting their time and that had value and therefore they want your money.
I'm station manager Dan Aykroyd. During the past few weeks in Los Angeles, actor Lee Marvin and his former live-in companion Michelle Triola Marvin have been in court to settle her claim that he owes her half his income from the 6 years they lived together. That is the subject of tonight's point-counterpoint. Jane will take the pro-Michelle Marvin point, while I take the anti-Michelle Triola counterpoint. Jane?
Dan, times change, and so does the nature of relationships. People are reluctant to get married these days, and looking at divorce statistics, who can blame them? But the lack of a piece of paper does not necessarily mean the lack of a total commitment. A woman in this modern-day relationship may well give up all her own personal pursuits, as Michelle Marvin claims she did, to give her full support to her man's career. And Michelle Marvin is just asking that the courts recognize that reality. Dan, there's an old saying, behind every successful man, there's a woman, a loving, giving, caring woman. But you wouldn't know about that, Dan, because there's no old saying about what's behind a miserable failure.
Jane, you ignorant slut. Bagged out, dried up slunk meat like you and Michelle Triola know the rules. If you want a contract, sign on the dotted line. Oh, but let's all shed a tear for poor Michelle Triola. There was only testimony that she had sexual intercourse over 40 times with another man while living with actor Lee Marvin. But I suppose that sort of fashionable promiscuity means nothing to someone like you, Jane, who hops from bed to bed with the frequency of a cheap ham radio. But hell hath no fury like a woman scorned, and Michelle Triola, like a screeching, squealing, rapacious swamp sow, is after actor Lee Marvin's last $3 million. I guess what you and Michelle are saying is that when you're on your backs, the meter is running. Well, please spare us, gals, and tell us the rates at the top. Then we can choose which two-bit tarts and bargain basement sluts to shack up with.
That's the news. Good night, and have a pleasant tomorrow.
Every once in a while, I think back on women I've been with, women I've dated, women I've lived with, women I have married. I think back, and I try to think back on all the good times we had. Sometimes I look through old photographs and see some of the things we were doing and saying, God, that looks like that was fun. Oh, I remember this. I remember that. But then every once in a while, you're jolted into reality because, like, you look at the person's face in the photograph and you're saying, wait a minute, when it was all over, she boiled it down to dollars and cents. She pretty much had an amount in mind, and she started telling you what the amount was. So all that time you thought you were having fun, it was like hiring, not quite a hooker, because it's more than just sex, but it's like hiring an escort for a long period of time. And in the long run, women feel they should be compensated for the time they spend with you. As you go out with women, date them, have sex with them, never lose sight of that, boys. Never forget that no matter how nice she looks, no matter how friendly her eyes look, you look into her eyes, they sparkle, and you see her, and it makes your day. I know that feeling. When it gets right down to it, it's like hailing a cab. At the end, they throw the flag up, and they tell you how much you owe them. And they'd like a tip with that, please. Boys, never forget that. I am your professor. I am here in our classroom, here to tell you about how to avoid commitment, how to avoid serious relationships. Your professor lives alone and is a staunch advocate of living alone. It doesn't mean I'm gay. It doesn't mean I'm bi. It doesn't mean I'm asexual or a eunuch. No. I think you should have all the fun you can possibly have. But there's no reason to give a woman the key to your place or be paying her bills. None. You have your own place. You have your own peace of mind. You have your own space. And when you want to hide out or be on the DL for a while, you can. That is what you need and want in life. And don't let one of these women convince you that you need more than that, because you don't. Have sex and go home. Don't let them move into your place, please. It's the Tom Leykis Show, Leykis 101. I am your professor. 1-800-5800-TOM is our telephone number. Marie, hello.
Hey, Tom.
Hey, Marie.
I can't believe I have you on the phone. Wow.
Neither can I.
You just sound so awful. You sound so jaded, and I just can't believe this has happened to you. I mean,
It's happened to a lot of guys, dear.
do you mind if I ask you how old you are?
I'm 49.
Wow. I just can't believe, I mean, were you always in show business? How old were you when you first got married?
I've been in radio since I was 14.
Wow. Like, I don't think all women, I don't know. I mean, I'm not out there, so I don't know that all women are like that, and I'm shocked to
No
hear
one
that.
said, again, dear, please don't misquote me. I said that at the beginning of the hour. I never said all women are like that.
Oh, you're right. You didn't say that. You said a lot of them. And maybe
Yes.
in California, were you always in
No, dear.
California?
No, I'm from New York originally. I lived in Miami. I lived in Phoenix. I lived in Boston.
All right, well, New York, Miami, those are like like the big cities where people are just dying to get ahead, aren't they? I mean, maybe you're hanging out with women that's all they're...
Dear, I want to be with a woman who is hot, who is attractive. I'm sure I can find some 180-pounder out there who would be very jolly and would like to make dinner for me and just make a quiet home for me. But if I'm going to have someone living with me, I need to be with somebody who is going to be able to arouse me when I'm naked.
Well, maybe, I don't know, I mean, maybe a woman that is I don't know, like why people are overweight, maybe their self-esteem is bad, or maybe you hang out with them and then you get their self-esteem and they lose weight, and I don't know.
I'm not in the makeover business, dear.
Yeah, that's true. How old were you when you first got married?
18.
Were you like the big star and she was looking up to you?
Not when I was 18, I wasn't, no.
Because, I mean, and I know there's other women out there. There's smart women that make money, and I would think that they're not looking for that. You know, they're not looking for.
Well, the thing is, now I'm at a point in my life when I live alone, and I love dating women who have their own apartment, their own money, their own job, their own career, and I'll see them when I feel like it. But I don't want them living in my house.
Okay, but you know what's funny? Like, you were like telling boys, you're like, boys, don't do this, boys, and that's
Right.
That's kind of bad, because, like, boys need to be able to fall in love, because there are...
No, they don't. No, they don't. That's when they do stupid things. That's when they have babies with people who just want their money. That's when they get married to people who just want their money.
But not everyone's like that.
I never use the word everyone.
Well, while you're saying boys listen to... It's kind
Yes,
of like,
yes.
I mean, there's a lot of men that are really happy with their wives. There's some good women.
Guess what? One out of every two marriages in this country ends in divorce. 1 out of 2.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Right, and also, it's half men, half women. Some women get really dumped on by guys, too, and they, you know...
My students are primarily men. That's another classroom. I don't teach that class. I don't really care what happens to women.
I'm sorry, you don't care what happens to what?
This is a man's class. It's a class about men, by a man, for men. Women are welcome to audit the course. But it is from a male perspective. It is not for a female.
But I don't know, it's just...
I don't really care what happens to women. Let somebody else do that show.
Yeah, I don't know. It feels bad for you. You gotta...
But you don't understand. I am now happier than I've ever been. And I am happier than I've ever been because I don't have unrealistic expectations. I live alone. I'm right all the time. I'm never wrong. I'm never criticized. I'm never nagged. I'm never told what to do or how to do it. I mean, I'm the happiest I've ever been.
Well, maybe you should thank those women that you went through all that crap. Now you know
No. I'm not thanking those women for that. No, I'm not. All I will say is there are certain women who really were the inspiration for this class, and they know who they are, and some of them still listen.
Is this like second wife, third wife?
Again, I told you I'm not going to be specific because I don't want to be sued, dear. Trust me when I tell you, these some of these women actually do still listen to the show.
Yeah.
And they know who they are. And I'm sure these are women who have to hear people say, he's your ex? You were with him? What a jerk. And they don't realize that the reason I'm such a jerk is because these women had a chance to be with me. And they made me who I am today.